speakers, and fellow friends. The Right Honourable Premier has finally arrived to the building. May we get your kind cooperation to fill up the seats, and we shall stand by to welcome him in a short while. We hope that you can give the biggest cooperation to give him the biggest, loudest welcome, inshallah. And welcome again to the opening ceremony of the ICLCA 2025. For those who have just arrived, kindly put your phones on silent mode. Bottled water will not be served. There will be water stations that has been provided for you to have a cup of water. And also segregated waste bins have also been prepared. Thank you very much.
Floats and never flies.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to welcome our guest of honor. May I get your kind cooperation for those who are still at the back, who have not found your seats yet, kindly do so. Memohon kerjasama untuk kita sama-sama mencari tempat masing-masing. Kita akan umumkan ketibaan Yang Berhormat Premier Sarawak sebentar lagi. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may we all stand to welcome our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the biggest round of applause and welcome our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Premier of Sarawak. And may we all kindly remain standing for our national anthem, Negaraku, and our state anthem, Ibu Pertiwiku. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may kindly be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the opening performance. The welcoming dance was presented by Badan Kebudayaan Unimas Bayu, and this dance portrayed the diversity of the culture that depicts the harmony in which the various people of Sarawak coexist and not losing the unique individual character and identity. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam Sarawak maju makmur, salam segulai sejalai, and a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our utmost welcome to our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri, Dato' Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari, Bintu Dato' Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Yang berbahagia, Tan Sri Dato' Sri Panglima Sulong bin Mat Jarai, Chairman, Board of Directors, University Malaysia Sarawak, Unimas. Yang berbahagia, Dato' Haji Abdullah bin Julaihi, Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Urban Development. Distinguished guests, Yang berusaha Professor Dr. Haji Ahmad Hatta bin Rashid, Vice Chancellor, University Malaysia Sarawak, Unimas. Yang berusaha Professor Dr. Chin Siong, Director, UTM Low Carbon Asia, Malaysia. Heads of Department, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the ICLCA 2025. Let's give everyone a big round of applause. I'm Saleh Mohidin, and it is indeed an honor to be your MC this evening. And we would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone, especially to our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Premier of Sarawak, for taking your time to join us for this momentous event here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, since its establishment in 2015, the International Conference on Low Carbon Asia has been held in various Asian cities, including Johor Bahru and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, Bangkok in Thailand, Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, Shanghai in China, Manila in the Philippines, and Okayama in Japan. After a decade of growth, the International Conference on Low Carbon Asia has become one of Asia's leading platforms for high-level academics and city officials to exchange their knowledge and mind in the fields of low-carbon technology and economics. And here, for the first time, ICLCA is in Kuching, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause. To bless this meaningful ceremony, we would like to respectfully invite Al-Fadil Ustaz Haji Muhammad Ihsan bin Haji Haidzir, Timbalan Imam Besar Negeri Sarawak, mengetuai bacaan doa. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allahumma ya Allah, the most gracious and the most benevolent. On this glorious evening, and with the greatest of gratitude, we raise our hands, seeking your blessings upon this official launching of the 11th International Conference on Low Carbon Asia, which will be officiated by the Right Honorable Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Dato' Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Fattah, ya Alim, ya Allah. Please grace this occasion with your blessings and mercy. May we achieve all its noble aims and objectives, especially to provide a platform for knowledge exchange collaboration, and networking to drive impactful change towards sustainability. Bless all the guests, speakers, delegates, participants, and those who are here with us with tranquility and openness into the best of discourse. Allow every discussion, presentation, and negotiation to be a beacon illuminating the path towards a low-carbon, green, and resilient Asia. Lead us to forge innovative solutions that successfully balance economic prosperity with environmental stewardship. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram, bless our nation, our leaders, and our people with peace, harmony, and prosperity. Grant us the ability to work together in unity and wisdom, ensuring that our collective efforts bring forth a future that is just, progressive, and filled with your divine guidance. With humility and sincerity, we place our trust in you, O Allah. Accept our prayers, forgive our shortcomings, and grant us success in this world and the hereafter. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Majlis merakamkan setinggi-tinggi penghargaan kepada Al-Falid Ustaz Haji Muhammad Ihsan bin Haji Haidzir untuk doa itu tadi. Moga dengan bacaan doa itu tadi, majlis kita sentiasa dirahmati Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, insyaAllah. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite on stage Professor Dr. Ho Chin Siong, the chairperson of the International Conference on Low Carbon Asia 2025, to deliver his welcoming speech. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan.
Thank you, MC. Salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Berdani. Selamat petang and a very good evening to the Right Honourable Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdurrahman Johari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, the Premier of Sarawak. Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Sulong bin Majerit, Chairman Board of Directors University Malaysia Sarawak atau UNIMAS. Yang berbahagia Datuk Haji Abdullah bin Julaihi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Natural Resources and Urban Development. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the International Scientific and Organizing Committees, it is our great pleasure to welcome you to all this International Conference of Low Carbon Asia and Beyond, or ICLCA 25, here in the beautiful city of Kuching, Malaysia. Since its founding in 2015 by Low Carbon Asia Research Center, ICLCA series has evolved into a significant international platform, advancing knowledge, partnership, and real-world solutions for climate action, low carbon development, and the transition to net zero societies. Over the past decade, this conference have connected researchers, policymakers, and practitioners from across Asia and beyond. From Johor Bahru and Kuala Lumpur to Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, Shanghai, Manila, Okayama, and Dalian, each ICLCA has carried out the same mission to transform ideas into a tangible pathway towards a sustainable low-carbon future. This year, we are greatly honored to co-host ICLCA 25 with University Malaysia Sarawak or UNIMAS, Dewan Bandaraya Kuching Utara, DBKU, and Sarawak State Government and Ministries. We thank them sincerely for the warm hospitality and the strong commitment to sustainability, which makes Kuching a fitting venue for this important gathering. The conference theme, Innovative Pathway to Scalable Low-Carbon Solution for Sustainable Development, reflects the urgency and the ambition shared by nations across Asia, including Malaysia, in achieving a net zero emission by mid-century. ICLCA 25 provides a dynamic platform for knowledge exchange, scientific dialogue, and cross-sector collaboration. It brings together diverse perspectives, from technology and policy to economic and community engagement, to explore how emerging technology or innovation can be scaled up to address the climate challenge. We are particularly pleased this year that the conference offers special publication opportunities through Elsevier Energy and Chemical Engineering transaction and receive continuing support of the COMET platform. We also wish to express our deep appreciation to our local hosts and sponsors, our conference co-chairs, and members of the international scientific committees whose tireless work and dedication have made ICLCA 25 possible. To our distinguished guests and speakers from Sarawak State Government, the Malaysian Federal Territories, and our international partners, your participation symbolizes the shared responsibility and the global solidarity needed to confront climate change together. Our colleagues, your presence here demonstrates our common purpose to innovate, collaborate, and inspire action towards a carbon-neutral Asia. Let us make the most of this opportunity to exchange ideas, forge new partnerships, and collectively shape a more sustainable and resilient future. Once again, we warmly welcome you to ICLCA 25 in Kuching, and we wish you a productive and enriching conference and an enjoyable stay in this vibrant and welcoming city. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to Professor Dr. Ho for that warm and inspiring welcome and for your leadership in driving the vision of ICLCA. Next, we are honored to invite Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Ahmad Hatta bin Rashid, the Vice Chancellor of UNIMAS, to deliver his address. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Madani, salam Sarawak Maju Makmur, dan salam segulai sejalai, salam UNIMAS Lestari. The Right Honourable Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Abdul Rahman Zuhari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Sulung Mat Jerai, Chairman Board of Directors, Universiti Malaysia Sarawak, Yang Bahagia Datuk Haji Abdullah bin Julaihi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Natural Resource and Urban Development, Yang Berusaha Profesor Therapy Dr. Chin Siong, Director, UTM Low Carbon Asian Malaysia, Head of Department, ladies and gentlemen. Praise to be Allah Almighty for His blessing and grace, which have brought us today together for 11th International Conference on Low Carbon Asia 2025. On behalf of UNIMAS, I wish to express our deepest gratitude to the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, Dr. Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zuhari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg for gracing these events today. It is also my great honors to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all distinguished guests, esteemed partner, respected delegations, colleagues, and dear students to International Conference on Low Carbon Asian 2025, hosted here in Hikmah's Exchange Kuching. We are deeply honored to be together, leading mind and change maker from across Asia, united in our shared missions to advance low carbon transitions and circular economy innovation for a sustainable future. Ladies and gentlemen, the urgency for climate change and actions have ever been greater. As your rapid economic growth have lifted millions poverty, yet have intensified environmental pressure. Our challenge today is to ensure that development and prosperity do not come at the expense of our planet. University play a vital role in these transformations. At UNIMAS, we embrace this responsibility by embedding sustainability into our teaching, research, operation, and community engagement. Aligned with Sarawak post-COVID-19 development strategy 2030, Malaysian Net Zero 2050 commitment, UNIMAS positions itself as a living laboratory for sustainability. Our framework is anchored to a three-pillar. The first one, digitalization and greenhouse gas monitoring. Secondly, operational efficiency, behavior change. And thirdly, education, research, and engagement. Through our in-house greenhouse gas inventory dashboard, we monitor real-time campus emissions covering energy, waste, and transportations. Data insight have enabled measurable progress, transportation emissions limiting to a 4% increase post-pandemic. Purchase energy reduced by 12% per capita, and solid waste reduced by 14%. This dashboard is more than a reporting tool. It is a drive behavior change and continuous improvement. Our second pillar focus on operational efficiency and collective responsibility. Every faculty contribute through energy-saving measure, zero waste campaign, and a green mobility initiative such as cycling lanes, electric buggy, and carpooling. These efforts show that sustainability is not only a policy but a shared culture and shape the way we learn, work, and live. The third pillar, education, research, and engagement, integrated sustainability into our academic ecosystem. Students use real campus data for the projects and innovation challenges, while service learning program connect classroom with the communities. This hand-on approach nurture future leaders who think critically, act responsibly, and lead with compassion. At the heart of these transformations is a UNIMAS Circular Lab, our flagship initiative that champions circular economy practice, which into a resource from bamboo upscaling and composting and creative steel reuse, including symbolic Jambatan Cinta gift representing our bridge between art, science, and sustainability. Moving forward, the UNIMAS Circular Village will extend this innovation to rural Sarawak, empowering local community through a sustainable livelihood. Regional and globally, UNIMAS collaborate with a partner such as Sarawak Energy, the Natural Resource and Environmental Board, the Bintulu Development Authority, alongside academic partner from Lancaster University, Copenhagen Business School, and University of Sydney. Together, with advanced hydrogen readiness, ESG capacity building, and circular economy models, strengthening Sarawak and Asia green leadership. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, UNIMAS is recognized as one of Sarawak's leading campuses in digital GSG monitoring and sustainable transformations. We are committed to reduce emission intensely by 40% by 2030 and achieving net zero by 2050. Our next milestone include renewable energy scaling, rooftop solar expansions, and electric vehicle integrating. And also, all while this will be nurturing future ESG professionals who will lead Sarawak green and inclusive growth. Includes this, closing the low carbon transitions is sharing responsibility in all of us here. UNIMAS will continue to models a pathway that is data-driven, community-led, and future-focused. Let us collaborate, innovate, and accelerate meaningful change, because sustainability begins with the data, design, discipline, but also above of this, with the people who care about our nature. The Right Honorable Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, thank you very much for coming again, for gracing this opening ceremony of 11th National Conference on Low Carbon Asia 2025. You're present today with the busy schedules. I think this day at least more than 5 events. We are really thanks young Premier, which means that this engagement very meaningful for all of us, not only in UNIMAS but other university that joining us today. With that, I think your presence today is a great honor and reflection of our unwavering support for academics, excellent innovation and collaborations. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Ahmad Hatta, for your insightful and encouraging words and for your unwavering commitment to championing sustainability and innovation through UNIMAS. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is now our greatest honor to invite the Right Honorable Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintu Datuk Abang Haji Openg, the Premier of Sarawak, to deliver his opening and keynote address. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Terima kasih saudara pengacara majlis. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat petang, salam sejahtera. Salam Sarawak maju dan makmur. Salam segulai sejalai. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Sulong bin Majarai, Chairman Board of Directors Universiti Malaysia Sarawak. Yang berbahagia Datuk Haji Abdullah bin Julaihi, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Natural Resources and Urban Development. Yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Haji Ahmad Hatta bin Rashid, Vice Chancellor UNIMAS. Yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Chin Siong, Director UTM Low Carbon Asia Malaysia. Seterusnya Dev-Dev kehormat para delegasi luar daripada Sarawak, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang saya hormati sekalian. Pertama, saya mengucap setinggi-tinggi penghargaan dan terima kasih kepada pihak UNIMAS serta rakan partnernya kerana menjemput saya pada hari ini dan memberi saya penghormatan untuk berkongsi mengenai satu masalah yang besar dihadapi oleh dunia hari ini, iaitu perubahan iklim dan juga sebab mengapa ia berlaku. Therefore, I would like to extend my appreciation to UNIMAS and the partners for inviting me today to share our views on this significant issue faced by the world. I'm sure you're aware that this issue was discussed in Kyoto in 1997, and at that time there wasn't any consensus who caused this problem that the world is facing, or was facing and still is facing. Well, people say the culprit is carbon that comes from hydrocarbon, which is the fuel that propel global economic development. There was a division of views, but in 2015, when they converged and discussed in Paris, apparently the whole participant, the nations that came to Paris in 2015, agree on one thing, that there was a problem of carbon emission, thus giving rise to the Paris Agreement 2015. If our temperatures was above 1.5 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial level, then mankind will be facing serious problem. But today, it happened. Actually, it was slightly more than 1.5. Countries that never experienced hot weather, for instance, Spain, Portugal, temperatures rose up to 40 degrees Celsius. And we have natural catastrophes, including unpredictable weather and floods, as well as drought. And this has caused tremendous economic repercussions. Against that background, the world has to find an alternative to fossil fuel, the hydrocarbon that warmed the planet. And as you know, our planet is very much affected by what's happening throughout the world. Against this perspective, the Sarawak government, after the COVID-19, we devised a recovery economic program, where under this program, we acknowledge the problem of hydrocarbon, the problem of high temperature. And after studying the numbers, we feel that Sarawak is still negative. We are not very much affected by this climate change, but we have to take precaution so that we have sustainable environment. Thus, the 3 pillars under PCDS, very, very significant pillars that support our economic recovery program after COVID-19. One is the economic prosperity, the growth of our economy. Number 2, social inclusivity. And the third, environmental sustainability. Against that background, we feel that Sarawak has set a track. We started to find alternative to hydrocarbon. We went around the world, we learned, and the scientists say the cleanest energy that will sustain the planet according to the normal weather condition is hydrogen. And we analyze that we got a lot of H2O, we got a lot of water, we have a lot of rivers, we have the rainfall, and perhaps that is the area that we can produce or not alternative fuel to hydrocarbon. I started a small plant to produce hydrogen through water electrolysis, and the plant produced 130 kilograms of hydrogen per day. But the consumption of power is quite high, 60 kilowatt hour per kilogram. Nevertheless, we set up as a prototype, and we have a policy to provide green mobility to our people. And thus, the program of ART. As a first step, we want UNIMAS to be part of the program, where we are building a station from Samarahan to Kuching along UNIMAS. A lot of skeptics said, well, why Sarawak want to adopt ART powered by hydrogen? The answer is we have to do something on the issue of climate change. We got the dam, you know, we got Bakun, we got Morun, we got Batang Ai, we got Bale, where you have water being stored. What you do is just, you know, take those water, the water available, and split water between hydrogen and oxygen. And on top of that, we have a lot of rivers. I used to share with people that other countries, not like Sarawak, Egypt has to share River Nile with Sudan, with Kenya, the other North African nation. So much so that this river can become a source of political problem to those countries. Mekong shared by Thailand, by Cambodia, perhaps up to Laos. Rhine shared by Germany, by Holland. But Sarawak, we don't share rivers. We have a lot of rivers, not only one, a lot. So much so, banyak boya. And this river can be a source of producing hydrogen. The only area that we have to do a lot of research is how to produce hydrogen at affordable range. And I went to Siemens in Berlin just 2 months ago, and they have reduced the cost of producing hydrogen through water electrolysis because of improvement in the technology through advanced membrane. And it is lower than 60 kilowatt hour. And I believe between 5 to 10 years, the cost of producing hydrogen will be cheaper, similar to computer. Computer, when we first used computer, I still remember in the school, we were asked to do dissertation. That was the first time I used computer through punch card. And the server is as big as this room, but today in your hand. The computer is in your hand and cheap. If that happens, there is a possibility that the membrane to produce hydrogen will be compressed just like computer, and the cost will be cheaper. Against that vision, Sarawak adopt to use hydrogen. And we will be the first region in this part of the world using public transport powered by hydrogen. And it is now under construction. Having said that, Sarawak has the strength to confront this issue of climate change. You know, we have the trees. Sarawak is still covered 60% by forests. The director of forests is here. We still have 62% forested area. And that is carbon sink. We absorb carbon, we produce oxygen. We have a large tract of mangrove. And in terms of carbon retention, as you know, mangrove retains more than the forests. And we still, got a lot of areas under mangrove. Number 3, we have still areas for you to store carbon under the CCUS mechanism, carbon storage, along our shoreline. The depleted oil well can be a place for you to inject carbon and store carbon. We still got, space for that. Therefore, actually now, Sarawak is negative carbon. We are not only transition to zero, but we are negative because we produce more oxygen than carbon. Somebody must pay Sarawak for that because we are storing carbon. Now the world says, whoever pollute the space, the atmosphere, they have to pay. Under what we call United Nations Framework Convention on Carbon. Now, there is no formula yet, but we are working together with World Bank and Vera to calculate the right price for carbon. That's where the carbon trading comes in. And we are now engaging with advanced countries, particularly Korea and Japan, to transport, to have that arrangement in carbon trading. But the world is still probing on how to value carbon under the carbon trading. That's why just now I was briefed on the technology of Finland, where you can even value the carbon trade or absorption of carbon through a single area. If the market really can accept that formula, and the world verified and certified that formula, the NCR land owners can exercise their trading discipline in terms of carbon storage. And I hope the Finland and the Forest Department will be able to calculate that. So ladies and gentlemen, having said that, our strength, we must execute what we can do. This also includes town planning. When we plan our town, we must plan in such a way that the city is low carbon city. Having said about public transportation, the city must be planned in such a way that you provide the facilities to the citizen, inculcating into it the issues of low carbon facilities. For us in Sarawak, I have issued my view to the local authorities 2 days ago, that when you plan your city, make sure that you have walkway separate from the main road, and along the road, plant trees so that they will absorb carbon and produce oxygen in the city. And our strength is because we are in the tropical climate. Enough rainfall, enough sunlight, trees can grow. Other places, they import trees. But for us, a lot of trees in our forests, just replant it in our cities. And once our cities are green, it helps through the process of photosynthesis to absorb carbon, and you have fresh air. That will help to have long life once you have fresh air. In other words, the city must be planned in such a way that there is a balance between carbon emission, though the volume can be controlled, mitigated, but in terms of formula, you got more oxygen than carbon, meaning the city will be green. And mobility, public places, we must make sure that there is enough room so that it is not that congested, and in between you plan in such a way that the same soft landscape can be used. One of the culprits of this emission is actually cement. Cement is one of the culprits. So in other words, less cement in our recreational activities, and you construct a sort of blocks allowing the green to come up in your public places. Then, of course, you need maintenance. I think one of the reasons why you miss cement is we are lazy, because we do not want to cut the offshoots. You do not want to trim it. Cement, leave it there. So in other words, we have to discard the culture of laziness. We cannot be that lazy. And another area in city planning, that you provide good green recreational facilities. And our drainage system must be planned, so that we got the waterway that can soften the hard feeling in that particular area. Singapore has done that in Amokyo, and that should be the factors that we have to consider when we do city planning. So ladies and gentlemen, for Sarawak, we are doing that. And what we need is a political will. I know it's not easy. Even when I introduced digitalization, when I became your leader, I got a lot of skeptic. Apa cakap Babang Joe ni? Actually, digitalization is for you to accelerate the process and therefore reduce the effect of that process. And when I introduced hydrogen, as I mentioned earlier, we got skeptic. But at the end of the day, you must have that political will. And it costs a lot. You have to calculate the investment that you have to put in. But you analyze between the cost and the benefit is more than the cost. I must congratulate our forest department. They have since 2021, they have managed to plant 50, 30, now 50 now, 54 million trees within these 5 years. And this culture we want to spread to city planning. Actually, if you go to the mosque, we are now planting billion tree at the ground of our state mosque. And we want to plant trees also, good trees, along our road, city planning. Having said that, what is the alternative to our energy? Because if you were to use coal, now it's one of the, factors that pollute our atmosphere. Sarawak is producing 62% hydro power. And this hydropower must be optimized, not only through hydro turbine, but we place floating solar in our dam. We tried the first one in Batang Air, floating solar, producing 50 megawatt. And next year, God willing, we increase it to 170 because there will be additional 120 to the extension of our floating solar. And it only occupies only 6% of the dam. You just imagine if you occupy 50% of the dam, then the clean energy, solar energy, will be able to produce, I think, 1 gigawatt. So I have given them the target, SEB, to produce renewable by the year 2030, 10 gigawatt. And Sarawak's need is roughly about 7 gigawatt. The 3 gigawatt we share with Singapore, 1 gigawatt. Now we have signed the MOU on power purchase with Singapore. And the other 1 gigawatt to Peninsular Malaysia, including Johor. And by 2035, my target given to SEB is 15 gigawatt. Today, we are supplying green energy to Kalimantan, Indonesia. Next year, to Sabah, 100 megawatt. Following that, Brunei, another 100 megawatt. And the Prime Minister has asked us to look into the possibility through Sabah to supply Palawan in southern Philippines. And the 15 gigawatt that I mentioned is based on our conservative resource of renewable. But if you include solar, number 2 is biomass, replacing coal, where you can plant fast-growing trees. Within 5 years, you have replanting, harvest, replanting. You can replace coal by biochar from biomass. Next, circular economy. We are now one of the largest producers of palm oil. So the biomass, the waste from our palm oil can be converted into energy. And if you were to include that, then we meet the target of low carbon. In fact, the World Economic Forum has adopted Bintulu as a low carbon transition industrial cluster. And they have requested us, Sarawak, to share with the World Economic Forum in Davos on the policy adopted by Sarawak. We will build an extension of Bintulu as a low carbon city in Bintulu, and with certain mechanism to mitigate the emission of carbon. Before I conclude, in fact, we were the first in Malaysia to pass a law on gas house emission. That's why when the federal parliament wanted to introduce the CCS law, the former Minister of Economy came to us and used our model. But we told them we should be excluded because land is under the state. And that's why we have two laws. One is federal, and ours, we have our own law. But carbon trading must be registered. And now we have a formula with the federal government how to manage this between the state and the federal government, because as a sovereign country, Malaysia has to register with UN. But that one will be arrangement between the federal and the state. As you know, they may want to charge levy, and therefore levy must be shared between federal and state. And this is being worked out, and I must say thank you to federal government, because they have agreed that environment is now under the state, and have given that mandate. We manage our own environment. With that sort of a background, we hope that we share not only Sarawak but the rest of ASEAN to make sure that ASEAN will become a region that is friendly to environment, as well as to use renewable green energy to green the whole of ASEAN, and Sarawak will contribute its part to that objective. With that, I wish you all the best, and I hope that we are able to control and mitigate carbon emission and to leave behind good place for mankind to live and to prosper. With that, thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you to the Right Honourable Premier, and kindly remain on stage. And we would like to invite everyone, our distinguished VIPs on the main table, and Organising Chairperson Professor Dr. Shanti Faridah binti Saleh to also join on stage for the official gimmick of the launch. Dipersilakan. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like now to invite the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak to the gimmick podium. And the moment we all have been waiting for, to mark the opening of the International Conference on Low Carbon Asia 2025, a symbolic opening ceremony, a tree, a symbolic representation of reducing carbon. And we invite the Right Honourable Premier in the count of 3 to place it on the podium. In 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the International Conference on Low Carbon Asia 2025 is now officially opened. We now invite the Right Honourable to the center of the stage, and we take a moment to express our heartfelt appreciation to all our sponsors who have generously supported this meaningful event. Your contribution and partnership have truly made this conference possible, and we couldn't have done it without you. With that, we are honored to invite Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Ahmad Hatta bin Rashid, the VC of UNIMAS, to kindly present the tokens of appreciation to our respective sponsors and supporter, witnessed by the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. This ICLCA 2025 is supported by the Sarawak State Government. We would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Dr. Haji Abdullah bin Julahi, the Permanent Secretary of MUDN, to receive on behalf. Dipersilakan. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Sarawak State Government. And next, we invite from Business Event Sarawak, Madam Amelia Rosiman, the CEO of BE Sarawak. Dipersilakan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause for Business Event Sarawak. And next, we would like to invite from Majlis Bandaraya Pasir Gudang, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Haji Mustafa Kamal, Datuk Haji Shamsuddin, the Mayor of Majlis Bandaraya Pasir Gudang. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Majlis Bandaraya Pasir Gudang. And next we invite on stage from Bintulu Development Authority, BDA, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Haji Muhammad Yaakob bin Kari, the General Manager of BDA. A round of applause for BDA, ladies and gentlemen. And next from WP Perancang Sdn Bhd, please welcome on stage Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Bartholomew Wong Kiko, the CEO of WP Perancang Sdn Bhd. Tahniah kepada WP Perancang Sdn Bhd. And finally, from Bintulu Ports Holding Berhad, please welcome on stage Yang Berbahagia Datuk Ruslan bin Abdul Ghani, the President and Group CEO of Bintulu Port Holdings Berhad. A round of applause for Bintulu Port Holdings Berhad, ladies and gentlemen. We'd also like to thank all our sponsors and supporters in this wonderful conference. And we now invite Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Sulong bin Mat Jerai, the Chairman and Board of Director of UNIMAS, to present a token of appreciation to the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. The Jambatan Cinta, the Bridge of Love, is an iconic UNIMAS landmark that connects faculties across the lake, symbolizing the link between arts and sciences, creativity and technology, people and the environment. In line with Premier's vision, monetize the waste. This handcrafted miniature bridge made from reused steel by local artisans reflects UNIMA's commitment to low-carbon innovation and circular economy practices. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. Thank you, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And with that note, we draw a remarkable close to this ceremony. And now we would like to invite the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak to kindly return to the main table for a group photo with all our delegates and guests who are here this evening. May we get everyone to stand up, please, and go to the middle of this stage and the area, and invite all the photographers and fellow media friends on stage for the final group photo. This is indeed a momentous occasion, the 11th International Conference on Low Carbon Asia here in Kuching, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Baiklah, in the count of 3, in 1, 2, 3. Everybody give a thumbs up in 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big round of applause. Syukur Alhamdulillah, majlis pelancaran kita telah berjaya dilangsungkan oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Premier Sarawak. And with that note, the official opening ceremony of ICLCA 2025, we'd like now to invite the Right Honourable Premier, distinguished guests, and all participants to enjoy the refreshments. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us this evening. We look forward again to seeing you at tomorrow's conference sessions. Do enjoy the refreshments. Selamat menjamu selera. Bon appetit. Thank you.